Hey, everybody. Super excited today to chat with Digital ML. We're going to talk about the API economy and where IT efficiency is headed. John, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being here. We're going to really geek out on developers in the enterprise. Before that, maybe introduce yourself and how would you describe Digital ML?
Thank you. My name's John Bogard. I'm Chief Revenue Officer of Digital ML. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world, giving them a holistic and connected catalog for their APIs, their services, and their events. So they have a view of how many APIs do we have, what's our coverage, what's our gap, what's good, what's
Hmm.
not, why, and then we give them a life cycle and governance in a way to integrate to all their runtime systems.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean, the API economy has been a buzzing around as a phrase for a while now. So, how would you describe yourself navigating through this landscape? And what's unique about what you guys bring to the table versus maybe other approaches out there?
What I like about the API economy, and you're right, it has been buzzing around for a while, but it's also real. You and I, as
Mm,
consumers, are consuming functionality every day via APIs, whether that's via an app on our phone or as we shop for car insurance or buy a car and get car insurance through it. We're seeing it, we're realizing it. It just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? And so we've realized working with enterprise customers that you need a way to promote and curate that experience and make sure that it's worthy of the enterprise name. You need a way to manage the complexity that comes with that. Who owns these APIs? Who's producing them? Who's consuming them? What happens if they change? And then you need a
mm.
way to bake in that reliability and automate it across. I mean, most of our customers have at least hundreds of APIs. A lot of them have thousands of APIs. And so executives want to know, how many do we have? Which ones are good? Which ones are getting consumption and reuse? While the producers want to know which ones are getting reuse and which ones are consuming. Where should we invest next? And how do we change? While IT wants the flexibility to run wherever they want, the business wants the flexibility to open up new ecosystems and opportunities. And so what I like about the API ecosystem is it's real and it just keeps getting more and more interesting with real life examples.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And when you talk APIs, a lot of folks, their eyes glaze over. If they're not developers, maybe they're in leadership or even a CIO or C-suite. So your focus is API and service design and management. That's kind of a mouthful, but how do you demystify that for the non-developers out there who don't, work with APIs daily, and explain why it's so crucial for, the businesses today, not just in the devs, the insiders in within IT who might be writing code.
It's a great question. I think one of the trends that we've seen in the last probably 2 years is it's not just for the developers anymore. It
Mm,
is getting CEO attention. It is getting chief digital officer attention. It's
mm,
getting product owner attention. And so if you look at banks, open banking and fintech certainly open the eyes and the opportunities of what APIs could deliver, how APIs were unlocking banking functionality and making it available for different partnerships, making it available for people like you and I to get banking information and do stuff with that. In healthcare, you're seeing more and more open healthcare marketplaces or use of health data. If you look at Apple Health and their use of APIs,
mm.
healthcare APIs with a defined industry standard, we're getting really interesting healthcare data via this functionality and via the APIs that unlock the functionality. Insurance, we've got so a lot of insurance customers that are opening up their car insurance capabilities and embedding it into how you and I buy a car online. You can buy a car online, you can have it shipped online, now you can have insurance online. Retail, telecom, government, they're all exposed in this functionality. And so the developers might be producing and developing the APIs, developers might be
Yeah.
consuming them and bringing them together, but the business is realizing these business opportunities and making the needles move with internal, external, and ecosystem consumption.
Oh, that's a really great description of where we are. So tell us the genesis story of Digital ML. How did you guys start? What was the journey like? Was this the vision when you started out, or how has it evolved over time?
We've been at this for a while, and we launched in the US about 15, 16, 17 years ago. And we've
Oh
always
my gosh,
been
I can't even
lucky to
think
work
far.
with.
I can't even imagine thinking back that far in tech. That's like
It
several
goes really
lifetimes.
quickly, doesn't it? And look how much it's changed. I think we got really lucky working with these big customers and being a partner with them. And so we're able to look at what worked in the integration space, what worked in the SOA space, what worked in microservices, what worked in APIs. And then we were also fortunate to work with customers that wanted to have the flexibility, the abstraction away from these technical and platform changes. They want to be able to expose their data and their functionality in a flexible way, make it available via an API now or an event or a web service before. And then now they want flexibility on where they run it and who they offer it to and how they expose it. And so at the genesis of our company is we've been working closely with big enterprise customers. We've evolved and pivoted and migrated our platform to support the new technologies and have worked closely with the enterprises to give them that abstraction, to give them that management, to give them that flexibility, and to bake in and automate things that we hear all the time now. How do we make this self-service? How do we drive self-service consumption and innovation and development? How do we make it easier to on our engineering partners so that developers don't have to spend their big brain mind power redoing everything that their colleagues have done before? How do we get reuse? And so we've just closely worked with partners, taking a low key behind the scenes approach and focused on making these enterprise customers successful and as agile as a startup.
Oh, that's awesome. Love that idea.
Thanks.
So it's kind of the best time to be a developer, even if you can't code. I mean, English is the hot new programming language, right? With AI, Gen AI. So this should only be like rocket fuel for your business, low code and no code, and all kinds of new languages and paradigms. How do you see this playing into the mix? Is it just upwards and onwards, more and more?
Isn't it awesome? I think we're seeing a lot of interesting opportunities from co-pilots and helping
Mm.
developers become more productive and making functionality available better, faster, cheaper to things like concierge API, AIs and automation and synchronization. And I was thinking about an insurance customer that we work with closely. 5 years ago, they were building a set of functionality via their APIs so that they could have someone talk to Alexa and say, Alexa, give me a car insurance quote. And it was great, and everybody was excited, and it was delivered via APIs, and it worked. It was a good product. And now you look at what is happening with AI and navigating these complex tasks and automating these complex tasks. And we think we're seeing our customers expose their functionality again via APIs and endpoints. And now AI and LLM are able to find that functionality. They're able to consume it in a reliable and secure way. And then they're able to piece together solutions for consumers, for customers. And that's
Mm.
being enabled via their APIs and their endpoints. And that's being enabled underneath the covers by what we give them, that catalog of what functionality they have, by a layer of governance and security and process to ensure that what they're offering is good, by a view of the complexity, the lineage of here's who's producing it, here's who owns it, here's all the consumers of that. So they know what's being consumed and where it's being consumed. They know how to make changes and do it in a reliable and governed way. And then they can go faster on things that are working. And Mary, here's what we thought it would do. Here's what it's actually doing. Let's create a new version, or let's create a new offering, or let's embed that in a different way. And so we're seeing AI, and our customers are seeing AI and LLM, and all these opportunities in a very exciting way. And again, another place it's working now, and I think it's just getting started.
Yeah, we are just getting started. And how do you go to market? You mentioned some big enterprises you work with. I imagine you work with them directly. You work through partners and integrators. What is your sort of go to market like?
Thanks. We have a great team. We're great partners. We work directly with our customers to make them successful. The platform is very configurable, and so instead of working with us to customize it, we're working with you to create almost a COE and a best practice set of best practices to enable this vision with milestones along the way. We have some great partners. We're very agnostic to the different runtime platforms. So we tend to integrate with all the great stuff that's going on in the DevSecOps space. We tend to integrate and tie in nicely with all the different API gateways. And then we play nicely and tie in together with all the cloud providers, giving our customers a way to choose which ones work best for them and then make decisions on where they deploy and how they deploy based on what they've got and what's working best. And so we have some great partners that we play that we integrate bi-directionally with that creates that connected and holistic catalog and helps our customers get to that vision faster.
Oh, that's fantastic. And describe the landscape, for API, platform companies. I remember a number of years back when MuleSoft was acquired by Salesforce. That's kind of when it first came on my radar. Wow, this is kind of a big deal. This is a big space. How do you see yourself on this landscape? Where do you sort of fit as a nimble company, as a smaller company versus some of the tech giants playing in this space too?
I think we tend to sit left of the big API gateways and runtime providers. Um,
Mm,
APIs are going to run somewhere in a cloud and in multi-cloud and in application
mm,
environments. The big multi-cloud or the cloud providers have a great offering, and so we're giving our customers flexibility on where to run and deploy their APIs. Next to the clouds, there's a set of runtime and gateway environments,
mm,
Apigee, MuleSoft. I
mm,
think that more and more of the gateways are becoming flexible and for our customers, so they can run a bunch of them based on what works best. Feeding the gateways is either a DevSecOps or CI/CD pipeline, but also reliable interfaces, reliable APIs, well designed and well governed APIs. And so Ignite sits left of those that we integrate and deploy those reliable and consumer
mm,
ready APIs. We give them a way to manage the different versions and different flavors of the APIs so that you're not having to rewrite one every time you change your gateway or your cloud environment. And
mm,
then we're sitting left of and deploying, but also tying in the metrics. So you have a view of what's running where, what's performing well, anything going wrong. Think security. Security is obviously big and important, but having a holistic view of your APIs and where they're running gives your support and operations team a way to drill right down to the source of it and see what security vectors that you might have. And then I think in the future, we're doing more and more with tying into the business opportunities, how these APIs get designed and planned. We've got a great API product management capability so that product managers and business owners are able to plan and bundle their API capabilities into products and make them available to customers. We've got a great business capability alignment. So a business user or an executive can see what is my coverage, what are my gaps, where should I invest, and where are the opportunities, and then we tie it all together with a holistic end-to-end view of how these are all pieced together. And again, what's our coverage, what's our gaps, what's good, what's not, why, where should we invest,
mm,
who's producing, who's consuming, which helps the enterprise is complex. There's a lot of moving pieces. We've got a lot of stories of enterprises consuming information via an API or data via an API, and the producers not knowing about it, and a project fails, or an application turns off, or a mobile site goes black, or a security risk happens, and they can't
mm.
figure out why. And so we're fitting in there and helping them have that end-to-end holistic connected view.
Yeah, API security is such a hot topic, and there's so many startups even in that little niche. It's amazing to see. You mentioned some pretty big and interesting enterprise customers. Can you talk about any one of them without like picking favorites or favorite children? Anyone come to mind we might know or heard of?
Well, I love what Kaiser Permanente does and
Mm,
how they responded in COVID and offered functionality. I love how they're opening up their healthcare networks and providing ecosystems and applications and marketplaces. I think they're certainly ahead, and the team there is just really world class and phenomenal. From the CEO, CDO through to the people that are implementing and managing these programs and platforms. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing. There's a few really interesting retailers and insurance companies that are about to make some very interesting news with how they're unlocking this functionality and exposing it to consumers like you and I. You'll use this functionality, but also
mm,
to tailored marketplaces and partners where the functionality gets bundled. And so I'm really excited about what some of these retailers and insurance companies are going to be doing. And then ones that you might not always think about, we hear some really good banking examples, but some of the manufacturers and producers and how they're creating calculators for their customers on here's what your footprint is, here's how you can
mm,
change your say your ecosystem or climate footprint based on using and consuming these products and using APIs to really expose that data, but also drive different calculators and combinations of ingredients that go into what they're selling and how their customers are producing things. And so we've got some very interesting examples that you'll start seeing more and more, and you'll see them in the news, you'll see them in press releases, you'll see them in analyst calls and how they're driving this functionality for customers.
oh, that's really exciting. So many new applications and experiences that can be built here. It's really good stuff. And tell us about the team. You guys are distributed, working from everywhere. Um, where are you based, and where are your colleagues?
We've got such a good team. We're such good partners for our enterprise because we know the journey and we know how to make it work and the milestones and the bumps that go along the way. And so we've got a great team in the U.S. With sales and marketing and solution engineers and solution consultants. A lot of our solution consultants have been customers of ours and have joined the team to help our customers along the journey. We've got a great development team in the UK with support and operations being provided in the UK and the US and 24/7 coverage. Our CEO and our founder has been in the space for a long time, knows this space really well, and is very hands on. He's directly connected with all of our customers and is really driving that success. And so we're primarily North America and Europe, primarily out of the UK and New York, and then working with our enterprise customers around the world.
Fantastic. Well, congrats on all the success. You're up in Calgary, in Canada, beautiful part of the world. You must be looking to forward to fall and autumn. It's spectacular up in your neck of the woods.
It sure is. We're on the doorstep of the Rockies, and I hear the snow is already there, and so we're all looking forward to the
Okay, we're
ski
not going to
season.
talk about winter now. This is too depressing to think about as someone from Boston. But yes, autumn is here, and it's gorgeous. Well, thanks so much for just sharing a little bit of your insight and peek into the future of the API economy.
Thanks for having me, Evan. I love what you're building, and I appreciate you having us.
Awesome, and thanks everyone for watching. Reach out